This was a weird episode of Raw. I was left scratching my head at several points in the show. I spent well over 3 hours watching and writing, watching and writing, watching and writing. So as if 3 hours of Raw wasn't overkill for anyone, I spent hours more giving time to the world's top pro wrestling company just to make this content for you. But without further ado, let's get into this week's Raw shit, shall we?
What?
Roman Reigns won the Intercontinental title last week, and in spite of the fact that they had Miz continuously yell about how much he cares about the title and how prestigious it is, because something is obviously true if you repeat it a shit ton of times, as we all know, the Intercontinental title had just been, well, there, just making his shoulder look nice and shiny. But the belt itself had been an afterthought for long enough that I would honestly even forget sometimes that he's been champion for a good number of months. How prestigious, eh? But that aside, at least it's a bit more relevant this week, since Roman is the new champion, and as we all know, Vince loves him some big, sweaty Samoan, so maybe, just maybe, the title will regain some credibility while he has it. Maybe. Ah, fuck it. Who am I kidding? That's probably just wishful thinking.
What?
Or is it? Cause Seth Rollins defeated Cesaro in a singles match right after, and then cut a promo on how, with him and Ambrose beating both of the tag champs individually, that it's only right that they use their shot to take them on for the titles on Raw next week. Sounds good to me. What more can a fan ask of his wrestling? Would we really see another tag title change so soon after the Bar won them back? Having all of the Shield holding gold sounds like something that the company would definitely want, but I guess that for the time being, we'll just have to wait and see. Because the Bar and the Shield have been feuding for a while now, you've gotta wonder what the Bar will be doing if they do happen to lose.
What?
Kurt Angle announces 2 Fatal 4-Way matches, and then a singles match between the 2 victors of those matches to determine the new contender for Enzo's Cruiserweight title. I guess that's alright. I can't say I care much. The title has even less relevance than the Intercontinental title. But maybe both matches will be interesting. Or they'll just be rushed matches that aren't longer than 4 minutes like we've been conditioned to see from the start.
What?
When Titus's music hit, I went, ugh. But then Samoa Joe's music hit and I went, eh. But I went even more, eh, when he actually obliterated both him and Apollo Crews. Because if you're not gonna do anything of meaning with either man, and let's face it, of the two, Apollo's the one that should be in a way better position because he's ridiculously talented, then the least they can do with them is use them to make a wrecking ball like Samoa Joe look good. And that was that. We don't need to see that again, do we? I think we've seen it enough times by now. We need something more.
What?
The trio promo by Paige's new faction, apparently now known as Absolution, reminded me way too much of that first promo that Sheamus did when he first revealed the League of Nations a few years ago. And that's no good! Those are memories that are supposed to stay suppressed! Ah! And just like Sheamus' promo at the time, the women barely got a reaction while they were talking and had Sasha Banks surrounded just like the Shield. I've seen very little of Mandy Rose and Sonya Deville, as I'm sure most people have, but I really wasn't feeling it either. I guess the good in them beating up Sasha is that we at least didn't get another multiple women's tag team match, which doesn't say too much because we're probably gonna get way more of those in the weeks to come.
What?
Ah, fuck. Bray Wyatt's back and he's still doing the same old fucking shtick. He cut the exact same promo that he's been cutting for years, which means nothing, does nothing for him, and just takes up time that could be given to something that actually matters. I'm gonna borrow a line from Jim Cornette here and just say, how can we miss you if you won't go away? And Bray Wyatt, it pains me to say this, but you really should have stayed away way longer. I'm so sick and tired of this same old shit.
What?
But if you watched that he took on Matt Hardy and Matt lost in a very quick fashion, you also saw that that fact didn't matter. Because we saw a teaser for Broken Matt Hardy. Finally! Could this be, after all of the waiting and the teasing since the return of the Hardys at WrestleMania, could the Broken Brilliance finally be arriving to stay? I've been noticing online that there have been reports of this being the case, but I haven't actually read any of those reports, and you have to take those with a grain of salt anyway, because for all one knows, they're complete bullshit. Please, Please let this be the beginning of the broken brilliance. Matt Hardy isn't getting any younger, and he can be at the very top with the rest of the great modern wrestlers in the company. Delete! Delete! Delete!
What?
Well, what do you know? The Cruiserweights actually had enough time to have a decent Fatal 4-Way. Who would have thunk it? I write this shit as I'm watching the show, you know, so I ain't gonna go back and change what I said before. But anyway, it was alright. And an alright is always better than a groan when you're talking about the Cruiserweights in the same breath. Rich Swann won this one, so now we just have to wait and see who wins the Fatal 4-Way next week, and hopefully it'll get the time that this one got, so that it means something. Could we actually have a meaningful rivalry for the Cruiserweight title? I do not have the answer to that question.
What?
Roman Reigns defeated Elias to retain his Intercontinental title, but whoa! Wouldn't you know, Elias actually looked pretty strong in that match with him. That, if anything, is a sign of the powers that be having faith in the man. And that's a good thing, because if given a chance to rise, I don't think Elias would have too much trouble rising to the occasion. I for one want to see what's next. And that's not all, because Samoa Joe attacked Roman post-match. We haven't seen him do that to someone before. But that was certainly unexpected, although really, I don't often try terribly hard to predict things in WWE shows, and now that definitely caught this guy's interest. Samoa Joe against a Samoan named Joe. Wait a minute, hasn't this happened before? Not too long ago. Well, even if it has, it didn't happen for the Intercontinental title the first time around, and it's good to see that Joe's entering a top program with one of the company's top stars.
What?
Asuka defeated Dana Brooke in about 2 seconds with an armbar, Maggle. An armbar, not the fucking Asuka lock, you stupid twat. How odd for Michael Cole to get a move wrong, right? But really, all of WWE's commentary is about as appealing as receiving tongue from Mae Young, so I'm just stating the obvious here. But horrible commentary aside, Asuka was surrounded by Absolution, and I'm still trying to decide on whether or not I like the name, after she quickly destroyed Dana Brooke, but they backed off. Ha! I don't say I blame them, because even with 2 people at my side, I sure as hell will think twice about trying to hand Asuka her own cute little Japanese ass. But again, like I mentioned earlier when these women were out, the crowd was pretty dead for it, and it's hard to see if that's a good thing or not, and I don't know what to make of it right there and then. Maybe they try to get Asuka to join them like they did Sasha? Maybe they try to take her out too, but some of the other women come to her aid and we have a feud of 10 different women like we've never seen before in an episode of Raw? Who fucking knows? I guess patience here is the key.
What?
So Jason Jordan took on Kane this week, and it was more of the same from last week. Kane was kicking his ass until he threw him out of the ring, and Jordan allegedly couldn't make it back into the ring, so the match ended, but he rolled back into the ring after the count hit 10, and Kane beat his ass some more. And I'm honestly left scratching my head at the whole thing, because I guess Kane is supposed to be a heel, and I guess Jordan is supposed to be a face, so we're supposed to sympathize with him because he's got an injury? Or are we supposed to think that he's full of shit and that he really is faking the whole thing? I've honestly got no fucking clue. I've said so before on previous episodes that I'm a fan of the man, he just needs direction, because ever since arriving to Raw, apart from his matches against Reigns and Cena, he really hasn't done anything memorable. And I'm pretty sure that fans in general have soured on him because of the whole being Kurt Angle's son gimmick that's never gone anywhere. So he's just going out to have meaningless matches against top stars, even though the audiences have been booing him for a while, like they do with Reigns. Ugh, I don't fucking know. Maybe they just don't want us to care for Jordan whatsoever because they've lost faith in the man.
What?
Speaking of Jordan, Balor went out to save his ass because again, that's what Balor does, is wait for his entrance music and then go stomp on people. So it's a mini feud? The commentators tried to explain that Balor wanted payback after Kane pile-drived them a few weeks back, but it feels so half-assed that I honestly couldn't bring myself to care much. To be honest, I didn't even realize that Balor hadn't been on the show up until he actually showed up, and I used to get pumped for his matches back in his NXT days, like when he took on Nakamura, when he took on Owens, and when he took on Joe. But nowadays he comes out and I go, oh look, it's Finn. Hooray. Jeez, way to kill my buzz.
What?
And then Finn's ass was saved by Strowman when he barged down to the ramp and went to get him some of Kane, and so he did. But honestly, the whole thing with Balor, Jordan, and Kane killed my buzz, as I just said, and I honestly didn't care for it all that much either. I thought they were gonna save Strowman's comeback for a big show, or a pay-per-view. And instead, we saw Strowman power slam Kane on steel steps, whack him with a steel chair, and drive his throat into the chair twice like Kane did to him before. And something that I really didn't like was the fact that we were supposed to buy into the fact that Kane was shocked when Strowman no-sold the first chair shot, and that Kane wanted to get away from Strowman like he was actually afraid of him. Hasn't Kane's gimmick been that he fears no one and that he's walking destruction for the entirety of his damned career? And again, I thought Strowman was gonna get him good at a pay-per-view, and not just on a decent episode of Raw. But that was Raw this week, and it was okay. I think the first half of the show was better than the second, but overall, it was decent at best. I watched TakeOver War Games Sunday night, and so then watching this episode of Raw afterwards was a bit of a bummer, so I'd recommend that you do that. But what did you think of the show? I want to hear what you think, so leave a comment or write to 20x20 on the handles that you see on your screen now, where you can also find more 20x20 awesomeness. But until then, smash a chair on that subscribe button. This was 20x20, and I'll see you here for the rest of this week's 20x20 episodes.